What's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are doing something absolutely insane. We are going to explore one of the most incredible, most surprising countries on the entire planet. I'm talking about a place that's bigger than you think, has some of the craziest history you've ever heard, and is home to some of the most resilient people in the world. Get ready, because today, we're diving deep into one of Europe's most fascinating countries, Ukraine. This is a land overflowing with rich history, mind-blowing culture, and so many surprises you won't know what hit you. I've spent weeks reading about this place, and honestly, every single thing I learned just blew my mind even more. We're talking about the deepest subway station on Earth, the biggest plane ever built, and a tradition of decorating eggs that is literally ancient art. This isn't just a history lesson. This is an adventure into a country that has shaped the world in ways you can't even imagine. So I want you to strap in, grab some snacks, because we are about to unveil 20 mind-blowing facts about Ukraine that you probably definitely didn't know. This is going to be one of our biggest videos yet, and I promise you, by the end of this, you'll see Ukraine in a whole new light. The stories, the people, the sheer scale of everything, it's epic. Are you ready for this? Because I am so hyped to show you this. Let's get started. Alright, let's kick this off with something huge. Literally. When you think of the biggest country in Europe, what comes to mind? France? Spain? Germany? Wrong. Ukraine is the largest country located entirely within Europe. I'm not kidding, look at this map. It covers a massive 603,628 square kilometers. That's bigger than France and the UK combined. You could fit the entire United Kingdom inside Ukraine almost 2.5 times. It's an absolutely colossal piece of land, stretching from the Carpathian Mountains in the west, all the way to the industrial heartlands in the east. This isn't just empty space either, the geography here is incredibly diverse. You've got these majestic, forest-covered mountains that look like something out of a fantasy movie. Vast, fertile plains called steppes that are known as the breadbasket of Europe, and even a stunning coastline along the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov in the south. Imagine going from skiing in the mountains to sunbathing on a beach, all within the same country. The sheer scale and variety are just mind-boggling. It's a giant, beautiful, and ridiculously underrated country. Okay, this next fact is one of those things that changes how you see history. We all know about Roman and Greek alphabets, but did you know that Ukraine is considered the birthplace of one of the earliest known written languages for a huge chunk of the world? I'm talking about the Glagolitic alphabet. This isn't just some random script, it was the very first Slavic alphabet, created back in the 9th century by two Byzantine missionary brothers, Saint Cyril and Methodius. They designed this unique system to translate the Bible and other religious texts for the Slavic people. Before this, Slavic languages didn't really have a standardized written form, so these two guys literally created a foundation for literacy for millions of people. The Glagolitic alphabet eventually evolved into the Cyrillic script, which is used today across Eastern Europe and Central Asia, in countries like Russia, Bulgaria, Serbia, and of course, Ukraine. So, the next time you see Cyrillic writing, remember that its ancient ancestor has deep roots right here in Ukrainian history. It's an insane contribution to world culture that started right here. You guys know I love extreme things. The biggest, the fastest, the most expensive. Well, how about the deepest? If you're ever in Kiev, Ukraine's capital, you can ride an escalator down to the deepest metro station in the entire world. It's called Arsenyalna Station, and it is buried a staggering 105.5 meters or 346 feet below the ground. That is the equivalent of a 30-story skyscraper, but going straight down. Just getting to the platform is an adventure. You have to take 2 separate super-long escalators, and the whole journey takes about 5 minutes. But here's the crazy part. It wasn't just built to be deep for fun, its incredible depth means it doubles as a nuclear bomb shelter. During the Cold War, this station, like many in the Kiev metro system, was designed to protect thousands of citizens in the event of an attack. It has massive reinforced blast doors, hidden in the tunnels that can seal off the station from the outside world. So not only is it a record-breaking piece of engineering, but it's also a life-saving bunker. It's one of the most hardcore, multi-purpose structures you'll ever see. Get ready for this, because this fact is about one of the most legendary machines ever created. Ukraine was home to the world's largest aircraft manufacturing complex, the Antonov Design Bureau. This is the place that gave birth to some of the biggest and most powerful cargo planes the world has ever seen. We're talking about giants of the sky, absolute beasts of aviation that can carry tanks, trains, and even other airplanes. For decades, if you needed to move something ridiculously huge, you called Antonov. The crown jewel of their fleet, the undisputed king of the skies, was the Antonov An-225 Maria. This plane was in a league of its own. It was the heaviest aircraft ever built, with the largest wingspan of any plane in operational service. It held over 200 world records, including airlifting the single heaviest item ever recorded. There was only one ever fully completed, and it was an icon of engineering and a source of immense national pride for Ukraine. It was more than just a plane, it was a symbol of what humanity could achieve. A lot of people mistakenly think Ukrainian is just a type of Russian, but that's totally wrong. Ukrainian is its own beautiful special language with a long history and its own unique alphabet. It's a Slavic language, so it's related to Polish, Czech, and yes, Russian. But it's as different from Russian as Spanish is from Portuguese. It has its own grammar, its own words, and a sound that language experts often say is one of the most beautiful in the world, just like French and Italian. The Ukrainian alphabet uses a form of Cyrillic letters, but it has some special letters you won't find in Russian, like G, I, and Y. These letters give the language its special sound and feel. Today, over 40 million people around the world speak Ukrainian. Not just in Ukraine, but also in big communities in Canada, the United States, Brazil, and Argentina. It's a language that has lived through hundreds of years of being held back in attempts to get rid of it. This makes its strong presence today a powerful sign of Ukrainian identity and strength. This next fact is a somber one, but it's a crucial part of Ukraine's and the world's modern history. On April 26, 1986, the world's worst nuclear disaster occurred at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in northern Ukraine. A flawed reactor design, operated by inadequately trained personnel, led to a catastrophic steam explosion and fire, releasing a plume of radioactive material that spread over much of Europe. It was a terrifying event that had devastating consequences for the environment and for the hundreds of thousands of people who were forced to evacuate their homes. Today, the area around the plant is known as the Chernobyl Exclusion Zone, a 2,600 square kilometer restricted area. It's a haunting place where entire cities like Pripyat were abandoned overnight and remain frozen in time. But what's incredible is how nature is reclaiming the zone. Wildlife, including wolves, wild horses and bison, are thriving in the absence of humans, and the reactor itself is now encased in the new safe confinement, a massive metal arch, the largest land-based movable structure ever built, designed to secure the site for the next 100 years. It's a stark reminder of the dangers of nuclear power, and a testament to the massive international effort to contain the aftermath. Okay. Let's switch gears to something absolutely beautiful. In Ukraine, Easter eggs are not just about dipping them in some dye. They have an ancient and incredibly intricate art form called pizanka. The name comes from the Ukrainian word pisati, which means to write. Because these designs are not painted on, they are written onto the egg with beeswax. It's a painstaking process, using a special stylus called a kistka to apply hot wax to the shell. The egg is then dipped in a series of dyes, from lightest to darkest, with wax being added at each stage to preserve the colors. At the very end, all the wax is melted off to reveal a stunning, multicolored and highly symbolic design. Every color and symbol on a pizanka has a specific meaning. Birds represent fertility, deer represent strength, and geometric patterns can represent eternity or the sun. This tradition is thousands of years old, predating Christianity in the region, and was passed down through generations, mostly by women. It's a form of folk art that is so detailed and so steeped in culture it turns a simple egg into a masterpiece. Some of these designs are so complex they can take days to complete. If you have a sweet tooth, you are going to love this fact. Ukraine is a global superpower when it comes to honey. I'm not exaggerating. It's one of the top 5 honey producers in the entire world and the #1 producer in Europe. Ukrainians have been practicing beekeeping for centuries, and it's deeply embedded in their culture. They produce over 70,000 tons of honey every single year. That is an insane amount of honey. It's enough to fill almost 30 Olympic-sized swimming pools. What makes Ukrainian honey so special is the country's diverse landscape. The vast fields of sunflowers, acacia groves, and wildflower meadows create an incredible variety of honey types, each with its own unique flavor, color, and texture. You can get light and floral acacia honey, rich and dark buckwheat honey, and everything in between. It's so pure and high quality that it's exported all over the world. So, there's a good chance that some of the best honey you've ever tasted actually came from the fields of Ukraine. Now for a place that is both stunningly beautiful and incredibly spiritual. In the heart of Kiev, perched on hills overlooking the Dnipro River, is the Kiev-Pechersk Lavra, also known as the Monastery of the Caves. This is one of the most sacred sites in Eastern Orthodox Christianity, founded way back in 1051. It's a massive complex of golden-domed cathedrals, bell towers, and monastic buildings that is so important it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The architecture alone is breathtaking, a shining example of Ukrainian Baroque style. But the most incredible part of the Lavra is right there in its name, the caves. The monastery actually began with monks who dug out a network of underground caves and tunnels to live and pray in. For centuries, these catacombs served as the living quarters, chapels, and eventually, the burial place for the monks. Today, you can actually go down into these narrow, candlelit passages and see the naturally mummified remains of saints who were buried there hundreds of years ago. It is a deeply spiritual, slightly eerie, and absolutely unforgettable experience. When you picture Ukraine, you might just think of flat plains and fields of wheat, but the country's landscape is so much more diverse than that. It's really a place of incredible natural contrasts. In the west, you have the stunning Carpathian Mountains. These aren't just hills, they are proper mountains with dense forests, crystal-clear rivers, and unique cultural communities like the Hutzels, who have their own distinct traditions, music, and crafts. Honestly, it's a paradise for hiking, skiing, and just getting lost in nature. Then if you travel south, the landscape completely transforms. Ukraine has a beautiful coastline stretching over 2,700 kilometers along the Black Sea and the smaller Sea of Azov. You can find everything from bustling resort cities like Odessa, with its famous Potemkin steppes and sandy beaches, to wild, protected biospheres like Askania Nova, a massive nature reserve on the steppe that's home to exotic animals like zebras, bison, and Przewalski's horses running wild. It's kind of like having the Swiss Alps and the Mediterranean coast all in one country. This is honestly one of the coolest and most unique cultural facts you'll ever hear. For centuries, Ukraine was home to wandering musicians known as kobzari. These weren't just any musicians, they were often blind bards who traveled from village to village, playing a multi-stringed, lute-like instrument called the kobza, or the bandura. They were the keepers of Ukraine's history and soul. They sang epic ballads, known as dumi, which told stories of heroic deeds, historic battles, and the struggles of the Ukrainian people. The kobzari were more than just entertainers. They were respected as moral authorities, and honestly, the conscience of the nation. Since they were often blind, it was believed they could see the truth more clearly than sighted people. They were the living memory of the people, passing down stories and songs from one generation to the next, especially during times when the Ukrainian language and culture were being suppressed. Tragically, many kobzari were persecuted and executed by the Soviet regime in the 1930s for being symbols of Ukrainian nationalism. They are true cultural heroes. You've probably seen the Ukrainian flag a lot recently, the simple, powerful design of two horizontal stripes, blue on top and yellow on the bottom. But the story and the size behind it are actually amazing. The colors are not random, they're deeply symbolic. The blue represents the wide, clear blue skies of Ukraine, and the yellow represents the vast fields of golden wheat that cover the country. It's a beautiful, poetic image of the nation's landscape, the sky over the wheat fields. It perfectly captures the essence of the breadbasket of Europe, and Ukrainians take their flag very seriously. In 2016, they created the world's largest flying national flag in the city of Dnipro. This thing was absolutely massive, measuring 12 by 18 meters and flying on a 72-meter-tall flagpole. That's literally a flag the size of a tennis court. The flag itself has a long history, used during the Ukrainian War of Independence in 1917 before being banned by the Soviets. It was officially readopted in 1992 after Ukraine regained its independence, making it a powerful symbol of freedom, sovereignty, and national pride. Everyone thinks of the United States or France when they talk about the first modern constitutions. But what if I told you that a Ukrainian Cossack leader wrote one of the most progressive and democratic constitutions of its time, decades earlier? In 1710, a man named Pilip Orlik, a leader of the Zaporozhian Cossacks, drafted a document known as the Pacts and Constitutions of Rights and Freedoms of the Zaporozhian Host. Historians consider it to be one of the world's first state constitutions. This document was incredibly ahead of its time. It established a democratic standard for the separation of powers in government between the legislative, executive, and judicial branches, an idea that Enlightenment thinkers like Montesquieu would make famous much later. It limited the executive authority of the leader, the hetman, created a Cossack parliament, and even included provisions for social welfare. While it was never fully implemented because of the political situation at the time, it stands as a phenomenal testament to Ukraine's long and deep-rooted democratic traditions. Ukrainian folk art is super rich and colorful, but one of its most famous parts is the embroidery, especially on their traditional shirts called vyshyvanka. These aren't just nice patterns, they're like a secret language of symbols and colors that have been around for hundreds of years. Every part of Ukraine has its own special way of doing embroidery, with different colors and designs. You can actually tell where someone is from just by looking at the patterns on their shirt, but it's even deeper than that. People believed the embroidery could protect them. Different symbols were used to keep away bad spirits, bring good health, or make sure a marriage was happy. Shapes like squares and triangles could mean the sun, earth, and having lots of good things, while pictures of plants and animals had their own special meanings. A vyshyvanka was more than just clothes. It was like a lucky charm, something passed down in the family, and a way to show who you are. Today, lots of people are wearing them again, and Ukrainians all over the world wear them proudly as a sign of their country's history. Great nations are often defined by great rivers, and Ukraine is no exception. The Dnipro River is the heart and soul of the country. It is the fourth longest river in Europe, flowing for over 2,200 kilometers from its source in Russia, through Belarus, and then carving a massive path right through the middle of Ukraine before emptying into the Black Sea. It essentially divides the country into its western and eastern halves. It's so wide in some places that it looks more like a lake than a river. The Dnipro has been a vital artery for trade, culture, and life in this region for thousands of years. It was a key part of the ancient trade route from the Vikings to the Greeks. Today, Ukraine's most important cities, including its capital, Kiev, are built along its banks. The river is a massive source of hydroelectric power with giant dams and reservoirs that power the country. It's a source of transportation, water, and inspiration. For Ukrainians, the Dnipro is more than just a river. They often refer to it as Father Dnipro, a symbol of the nation's strength and endurance. If you're a fan of castles, knights, and epic history, Ukraine has some absolute gems. One of the most famous and picturesque is Olesko Castle, located in the Lviv region of western Ukraine. Perched dramatically on top of a 50-meter-high hill, this fortress looks like it was ripped straight out of a fairy tale book. Its history is just as dramatic, stretching back to at least 1327. For centuries, it was a strategic prize, constantly fought over by Poland, Lithuania, and Hungary. What makes Olesko Castle so special is its incredible history and architecture. It was the birthplace of a Polish king, John III Sobieski, a hero who helped save Vienna from the Ottoman siege. The castle has been destroyed and rebuilt multiple times, resulting in a fascinating mix of architectural styles, from Gothic to Renaissance. Today it's been beautifully restored and operates as a museum, housing a huge collection of Ukrainian art from the 16th and 17th centuries. Walking through its halls is like stepping back in time to an age of kings and epic battles. When people think of Ukrainian food, one thing usually comes to mind: borscht. And yes, their beet soup is legendary and every family has its own secret recipe. But Ukrainian cuisine is so much more diverse, delicious, and comforting than just one soup. It's a hearty, flavorful cuisine that makes amazing use of the country's agricultural bounty, with staples like potatoes, cabbage, mushrooms, and pork. One of the most famous dishes is vareniki, delicious dumplings that can be filled with anything from potatoes and cheese to sauerkraut or sweet cherries. Then you have holupsi, which are cabbage rolls stuffed with rice and meat, slow-cooked in a rich tomato sauce. There's daruni, savory potato pancakes often served with a dollop of sour cream. And for a truly iconic dish, you have to try chicken Kiev, a breaded chicken fillet that, when you cut into it, releases a flood of melted garlic butter. It's an explosion of flavor. Ukrainian food is the ultimate comfort food, rich in tradition and designed to be shared with family and friends. It's an essential part of the country's warm and hospitable culture. We mentioned the Antonov and Tu-25 Maria earlier, but this plane is so unbelievably epic that it deserves its own chapter. Let's just try to comprehend the scale of this machine. Its wingspan was 88.4 meters, that's longer than a football field. It was powered by 6 massive jet engines. Its landing gear had 32 wheels to support its maximum takeoff weight of 640 tons. That is the weight of almost 9 Abrams battle tanks. This plane wasn't just big, it was a triumph of human engineering, a flying colossus. The name Maria means dream in Ukrainian, and it truly was the realization of an audacious dream. Originally designed to carry the Soviet Union's Buran space shuttle on its back, it found a new life after the Soviet collapse as the world's ultimate super-heavy cargo transporter. It moved everything from giant power plant generators to entire fleets of emergency vehicles for disaster relief. Sadly, the one and only Maria was destroyed in early 2022 during the battle for Hostomel Airport. But the dream lives on, and Ukraine has vowed to rebuild it one day, as a symbol of their unbreakable spirit. Ukrainians know how to celebrate, and their calendar is packed with vibrant, ancient, and totally unique festivals that blend pagan traditions with Christian holidays. One of the wildest is Malanka, or the Old New Year's Eve, celebrated on January 13th. In some villages, people dress up in elaborate and often terrifying masks and costumes, representing characters like the old woman Malanka, a devil, a goat, and others. They go from house to house playing pranks, singing, and creating a chaotic carnival-like atmosphere. It's like a crazy, surreal Halloween party in the middle of winter. Another beautiful festival is Ivana Kupala, a midsummer celebration on the night of July 6th. It's an ancient fertility rite full of mystical traditions. Young people jump over bonfires to cleanse themselves of illness and bad luck. Girls make wreaths of wildflowers, place a candle on them, and float them down a river to try and divine their future love. It's a magical night of fire, water, music, and ancient rituals that connects modern Ukrainians to their distant pagan ancestors. These festivals are an explosion of culture, history, and community spirit. The final fact is the most important one, and it's not about history or geography, but about the spirit of the Ukrainian people. Throughout its entire history, Ukraine has faced incredible hardships. It has been fought over by empires, had its language and culture suppressed, suffered through a horrific man-made famine called the Holodomor, endured the Chernobyl disaster, and for centuries has had to fight for its very right to exist as a sovereign nation. Every generation has faced its own struggle for freedom and identity. Yet, through it all, the resilience of the Ukrainian people has been absolutely unbreakable. Their ability to preserve their culture, their language, and their traditions in the face of immense pressure is nothing short of inspiring. This history of struggle has forged an incredible sense of national unity and a fierce love for their freedom. The courage and determination they show the world today is not new. It is the culmination of centuries of refusing to be broken. Their spirit is their greatest treasure, and it's a powerful lesson in strength for all of us. And there you have it, 20 mind-blowing facts that show just how incredible Ukraine is. This is a country of staggering contrasts, unbelievable resilience, and a deep, profound beauty that stays with you. From its ancient roots as a cradle of Slavic culture to its modern-day struggles for freedom, Ukraine continues to surprise, to innovate, and to inspire the entire world. It's a nation that has given us everything from the world's biggest plane to some of the most beautiful art forms, all while fighting to protect its identity and its future. We really hope you enjoyed this deep dive into one of Europe's most remarkable nations. The story of Ukraine is a story of strength, creativity, and an unbreakable human spirit. If you learned something new today, and if you were as blown away as I was, please do us a huge favor and give this video a massive thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next adventure. Most importantly, please share this video with your friends and family. The more people who understand and appreciate the rich culture and history of Ukraine, the better. Spreading awareness is one of the most powerful things we can do. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.